in the knee gave him more and more trouble. He was hurting pretty bad, but he wanted to finish the mountain with me, and he did. As we were descending the mountain, we saw a storm quickly approaching, so we hurried down as fast as possible. We decided to follow an alternate route down the mountain, our GPS. What we did know was that further down the mountain, the path steepened to an impassable cliff on three sides. We had to backtrack to get back to the place where we could cross over the snow safely to our original trail that we had come up the mountain. The lost time cost us, and the storm hit us with rain and hail. By that time, our legs were burning pretty badly, and it was a lot of work backtracking up the mountain with the hail coming down. We eventually made it back to our original trail and down the mountainside. We had to backtrack and lost a lot of valuable time. Night came before we were down the mountain, and we had to borrow a flashlight from one of the campers on the mountain. The climb ended up taking us 18 hours instead of 12 we had planned on. Many times in life we choose our own path and it leads us astray. Only God can see that it leads to a dead end. We will have to retrace our steps back to the path God wanted us on. Oftentimes we think we understand what the consequences of our actions will be, and we judge that we can handle it. But oftentimes storms and unexpected obstacles may quickly appear that we are not ready to deal with. Only God can rescue us and put us back to where we are supposed to be. When we complete the trail, we realize that it would have been much easier if we had just followed the path that God had chosen for us. One year in the Canadian Rockies, my family and I climbed Ivy Peak. Evan and I got ahead of the rest of our family. The trail became indistinct and we lost it. We continued to climb and eventually had to start scrambling. Scrambling is a technical mountain term, meaning you have to climb on your hands and knees to continue climbing up the mountain. As Evan and I continued up the mountain, we began encountering small slippery rocks. As we would climb and push off these rocks, they would slide down and we would slide a short way down with them. We literally were taking 2 steps up and 1 step down. We had to continue climbing up in order not to fall down. Once we reached the top, we looked down and saw our dad climbing on the trail to the right of us, to where we had climbed up the mountain. He had a much easier time than we did. He had a smooth, less steep path leading to where we were. We realized we had taken the hard road up. Often in life we do the same thing. We lose track of the path. It becomes unclear and indistinct. Most of the time, this is because we are not spending enough time with God, and we no longer can see the path, His path in our life. We continue on, not realizing we no longer are in line with God. We begin to slip. The way gets steep, and we get on our hands and knees. We continue forward, but at a much slower pace. Eventually, when we stop and look down, we realize we have strayed. We realize how hard we have made it on ourselves. We have held on to something that was holding us back, maybe something like an addiction that has been impeding our journey. We continue going forward with little rocks sliding down and dragging us back. We realize this, and so once again, we seek God, and He directs us on His path. In order to follow in God's smooth path, we let go of that sin that was dragging us down. This is not to say that we don't struggle with this again, but it no longer controls our life. This is only achieved with wholehearted pursuit of God. Sometimes the way gets steep, and we feel like we're doing all we can just to put one foot in front of the other. I have found that during these times, the easiest thing to do is look down at our feet. I tell myself, just take 1 step at a time, put 1 foot in front of the other. When I look ahead at the path, I get discouraged. Sometimes our lives can be very tough. The best thing we can do is dig in and keep trudging. If we try to look too far ahead at the future, we will get discouraged. We cannot see very far ahead, and from our perspective, it looks a long way away before we get out of trouble. Only God can see the whole path. He's at the top of the mountain watching and cheering us on. He sees behind us where we have been. He sees us now where we are currently, and He sees the path in front of us, where we will go. We can choose to look at these experiences in a positive or negative light. Most often, the times we grow the most is the hardest times. In life, there are always unexpected adventures that God helps build your character through. Matthew 6:34 says, "Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." While we should not worry too much about the future, we should not forget to look up sometimes to make sure we are going the way we need to go. Also, when things go awry, we can become so tunnel visioned on our own lives and our own troubles that we miss out on helping others and seeing the beauty in life. If we are looking to the path at our feet, we miss the beautiful mountain view around us. We can also do the opposite. We sometimes deceive ourselves by always looking around at the scenery and at others around us. We look at others and see how we can help them. We look around at the beauty of life. Sometimes we distract ourselves when we do this and neglect our own spiritual lives and personal relationship with God. I tell myself, I'm helping others. That's what God wants me to do. So I don't need to worry about reading the Bible or having a personal relationship with God. I see the beauty in life around me and how God works. So I don't need to take time out of my day just for Him. The path is treacherous, and if we look at the mountains or the people around us too long, then the devil will trip us up before we know it. If we do not take time out of our lives to have a personal relationship with God, then before you know it, the devil will have us right where he wants. He wants us to feel secure, feel good about where we are. We have to strive always to learn more and become better followers of God. If we're not going forwards, then we're going backwards. Remember those important things we have to take on our journey? We pack it all in our backpack and head up the trail. As we climb, we get distracted by things off the trail. Ooh, a pretty rock here. A neat stick over there. We pick up these trinkets and continue on. Pretty soon we get tired of carrying these things, but we don't want to discard them either. So we try to put these items in our backpack, but they don't fit. So we throw something out, maybe a water bottle or a map, nothing too important. We put these trinkets in our pack instead, such as maybe some TV instead of taking the place of meditation. Maybe worrying more about the future and praying less. Eventually, our packs have very few things we really want, we really need, and a lot of heavy rocks. While we have the essential equipment in our backpack, we can see Jesus walking beside us. But as we fill our packs with sticks and rocks, He fades and we no longer can see Him. So we trudge on without Him. Our friends may try to tell us we are being silly, filling our packs with rocks, but we angrily push them off and tell them how important these things are to us. So we drive our friends away and trudge on alone, just our rocks to keep us company. Our pack becomes so heavy we no longer can bear it. We fall to our knees and cry for God to save us. We look up dimly from the dirt on the ground and see Jesus taking the pack and putting it on His own shoulders. He stumbles back on His feet with our heavy load and walks with us. Maybe we are thankful. Maybe we are shameful. Sometimes we are so happy that our load has been taken off our backs that we forget about the one that took it from us. Our confidence rebuilds and we begin to think that we can do it all on our own once again. So we take the pack again and the cycle repeats itself. I go through the cycle over and over. You would think I would learn from my mistakes, but human nature is slow to learn. I pray that we can all grow from our mistakes and learn to figure out ourselves and let God take our burdens. As we go up the mountain, we encounter many people. Some are on the same path as us, and we help them along, and they help each other. We help them, and they help us along the way. Some people are on different paths. We have the potential to impact them, and they have the potential to impact us. We have the choice to impact them negatively or positively. As we strive to help others in their walk with God, it is important to guard against being led astray by others with different aims than our own. So in conclusion, we need to take up the challenge to make the journey. We need to equip ourselves for the journey. We need to stay on the right path. We need to let go of things that hinder us, and we need to focus on our guide, God. Climbing a mountain in life may seem like an arduous, difficult journey, and it is. But when you reach the end of your journey, you realize that it was all worth going through. The view at the top of the mountain is simply breathtaking. The beauty is greater than you can imagine in the valley. When hiking a mountain, you see things in a whole new perspective. You can look down and see the path you took to get to the top. You finally understand why you had to take certain twists and turns, which you did not understand while you were climbing. You see the bigger picture as God does.